In MMA grappling, one rule reigns supreme: always respect the tap. Violating this rule can strip a fighter of respect and credibility, and in some cases, it can have dire consequences for their career. Respecting the tap is non-negotiable. Yet every now and then, fighters cross the line. Sometimes it's accidental. They don't feel the tap, or are too caught up in the moment to notice the referee stepping in. But what happens when this disregard for the tap becomes a pattern? When fighter after fighter is subjected to holds that linger far too long? The result is Rousimar Palhares.
Here's the tap. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like 5 solid seconds.
Despite verbal taps and clear referee intervention, Palhares gained a reputation for refusing to release submissions, earning widespread criticism for his conduct. Rousimar's journey began with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which he started at 15. By 24, he transitioned into MMA, competing in smaller Brazilian promotions, while pursuing a spot in the UFC. After a shaky start with 2 wins and 2 losses, he found his groove, securing 5 consecutive submission victories and capturing the Fury FC Grand Prix title. However, during this streak, questions began to arise about how long he was holding on to submissions after opponents had tapped.
He definitely holds too long.
Yeah.
He has. There's one fight from Brazil where it's crazy. He's just not letting go. He's just holding on to something. I forget what it was, but he was not letting go, and they were trying to separate him, and he was still hanging on to it. I just think when he's in competition, man, he just doesn't want to let it go.
Despite these controversies, Palhares' success earned him a UFC contract. His career in the UFC began promisingly with a submission of the night victory in his debut, and it seemed he had moved past his troubling habits. But that optimism was short-lived. In his next bout, Palhares once again held a submission too long after his opponent had clearly tapped.
Huge mistake. And look out for the legs.
The leg locks.
He's got it. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, he didn't let go. Oh, man.
The UFC responded with a 90-day suspension. Karma struck in his following fight when veteran Nate Marquardt knocked him out cold. After the loss, Rousimar rebounded with 3 victories, 2 of which earned him submission of the night bonuses. Around this time, he also competed in the prestigious ADCC, an elite grappling tournament. Palhares advanced to the finals with 3 heel hook submissions, including a win over Rafael Lovato Jr.
Yeah, ready?
However, he ultimately lost on points to Andre Galvão. Though his grappling success showcased his skill, his questionable behaviour persisted.
Passa pro outro lado.
In Rousimar's next fight against Mike Macenzio, he won in classic Palhares fashion, securing a heel hook in under a minute. And of course, he held on just a little longer than necessary, but just enough to stay under the radar. Barely. His UFC career came to a crashing halt after 2 consecutive knockout losses.
Game, that's over, call it.
Followed by a 9-month suspension for elevated testosterone levels. In his return fight, Palhares faced Mike Pierce and won via heel hook, but once again refused to release the hold after Pierce tapped. This incident proved to be the final straw for the UFC, which permanently cut ties with him.
Last night there was kind of an ugly incident at one of your fight night events. Rousimar Palhares, he had his opponent in an ankle lock. His opponent tapped out and Palhares wouldn't let go. We can see it here.
This is the second incident we've had with Palhares where he had the lock and he didn't let it go. Finally, he let it go, but yeah, I'm going to cut him.
You're going to cut him. This is it. You're saying here right now on the record, not just a suspension, he's done.
He's done.
He's done.
Shortly after, Palhares signed with the World Series of Fighting, WSOF, where he continued to dominate with leg locks. He defeated Steve Carl and John Fitch via heel hook, but controversy followed him into his fight against Jake Shields. Throughout the bout, Palhares was repeatedly warned by the referee for blatant eye gouging, a dirty tactic he used multiple times despite Shields' visible frustration and complaints. Even after being told more than once to clean up his act, the fouls continued. To cap it off, Palhares secured an Americana submission and, in true Palhares fashion, held onto it far too long after the tap. The referee had to intervene to force him to release the hold, further solidifying his reputation for pushing the boundaries of sportsmanship. Palhares was subsequently stripped of his title and suspended indefinitely. The Nevada State Athletic Commission later imposed a 2-year suspension and fined him $40,000. Unwilling to accept these penalties, Palhares expressed his frustration publicly, though many were skeptical of his claims of innocence. After his suspension, Palhares competed in smaller promotions in Europe and Russia, but his results were underwhelming. 1 win, 1 draw, and 4 knockout losses. His MMA career effectively ended in 2018. Since the controversial fight with Jake Shields, Rousimar Palhares has continued competing, racking up 7 more fights from 2018 to 2024. However, his career has taken a steep downturn, as he's gone 1-6 in his last 7 outings. While he still shows flashes of his old submission game, the results have been far from the dominance he once displayed. In recent years, Palhares has returned to grappling, competing in high-profile matches against elite opponents such as Gordon Ryan, Craig Jones, and William Tackett. Rousimar Palhares remains one of the most controversial figures in MMA and grappling history. His unmatched ability to secure leg locks, paired with his infamous tendency to crank submissions long after the tap, made him one of the sport's most feared and criticized competitors.
Now, Palhares is scary. He's flat out scary. Nobody wants to fight him because if it doesn't go well, you're going to sit out for 6 to 8 months.
His number one thing is ripping guys' knees apart. It's terrifying.
Weird build, weird technique,
huge Hulk-looking dude.
Yeah, short,
5'8", and just built like a brick shithouse, and just dives on your leg and rips it apart.
Yeah,
horrific. The way he wins, people are screaming in agony.
Thanks for watching Punch and Grapple. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment in the fight game. Got thoughts on Rousimar Palhares or a fighter you'd like me to cover next? Drop it in the comments below. And remember, in the world of combat sports, respect the tap, but never stop chasing greatness. Catch you in the next one.